Hello everybody, it's Julia here from the Highly Sensitive Tarot. I hope everybody's well today, and I'm back today with another instalment from the series of the top tarot trumps started by the lovely Mascha at Musings by Mascha, and we're up to the Chariot. This is card number 7. The Chariot is ruled by the Moon and by Cancer. What does the Chariot mean to me? I've got 5 cards here to show you, and I thought this week I would challenge myself, as Mascha did, to come up with 5 cards from decks that I haven't shown before. So that's what I'm doing. These are not necessarily my favourites. In fact, well, one of them is. I think 1 out of the 5 is a favourite, but the rest are just interesting, or I like them in some way, and they're from decks that I haven't shown yet. So that's really my main motivation for showing them, is that they haven't been out yet. So so yeah, let's have a look. I'll show you this first card here while I tell you a little bit about what the Chariot means to me. So this little deck here is the cutest of cutest little decks. I hope you can see that well. And it's the Mouseboat Tarot. it's just the absolute most gorgeous little deck. And it is, you can see, it is a tiny little deck. This is a normal-ish sized deck. So you can see it's tiny. So this is the Chariot here, and I've also got Cancer because this little deck has all of the astrology cards in it as well. So let me think about the Chariot, what it actually means to me. So I think it's a complex card, isn't it? It's not really one of my favourites. I think it's quite hard to define, really, in its own way. I think at its most basic level, it does imply some kind of struggle or a hard-won victory, a war, either within yourself or with a situation in your life. But generally, I find that this struggle is a struggle within yourself. You could say the Chariot is all about motion, but often the Chariot is shown as stationary. The charioteer, which you can't see here, but in the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith, he wears the emblems of the sun, but he's ruled by the moon. So it's kind of like a union of opposites, I think, pulling in different directions. And you often see this with the horses or whatever is pulling the Chariot, is they're looking in different directions and they're different colours. And I suppose to succeed, they've got to learn to pull in the same direction, haven't they? So it's a fascinating card, but it's also kind of a frustrating card, I think. And I always think about the crab, you know, Cancer, when I think about the Chariot. It's like that protective shell that carries the crab throughout its life. And that's kind of what the Chariot is like. It's like a protective vehicle that carries us through our lives. And I suppose we have to work at that transformational process, and that hope that in time we would become the Chariot rather than being led by it. You know, we would start to embody it rather than it leading us. So like I said, it can indicate a kind of loyalty and faith in life and a motivation to succeed, but it can also indicate, I suppose, a ruthless desire to win at all costs. Yeah, I think that's probably all I want to say, really. It's about finding success when physical and mental powers are in balance, isn't it? Yeah. So this first little card I want to show you here, as I said, is from the Mouseboat Tarot, and hope you can see that better there. And I just love this card. It is just the cutest little thing. It's a Chariot with what is in there? Do you know, I don't think my glasses are good enough to see. whether it's a little mouse or a little bird. I'm not sure, but the Chariot is being drawn by two blackbirds, and there are bees, big giant bees in the tree. It's just the cutest little card, isn't it? So cute. That's really my only reason for choosing it, is just the cuteness of it. And then we've got Cancer here as well, the crab with a little mouse with his hat on. Cute, cute, cute. Cuteness overload with this deck. I love it. So yeah, there's that one, the Mouseboat Tarot. So I should put that up there. The second card I've got for you, again, is not for any big profound reasons. It's from the Anna K Tarot, and this one actually is a favourite of mine. Let's lift that up just a little bit so you can see that card properly. This one actually is a favourite of mine. I've always loved this card. I think it's one of my absolute favourite cards in the Anna K deck, and it's just the sheer colour and heat and the sun and just the glorious warmth of this card. And as I said, it's like the charioteer. He has symbols of the sun. You know, he wears emblems of the sun, but he's ruled by the moon. But I think this sun in here is just sort of representing that sheer force of will, really, that often is around when there are struggles and struggles within yourself or struggles within your situation. Then there needs to be that kind of force of will to get you moving. And this charioteer, it's like he's just up and flown away. You know, it's just gorgeous. And I also, this card has kind of stuck in my head and in my heart, I guess, because on YouTube, my very first ever video that I recorded 3 years ago was a tarot reading, and it was for Virgo. And as I said, it was my very first video that I'd ever recorded, and this card came out in the reading, and the reading had the feel of a love affair, really, that had gone wrong. And I just said in this reading that it's like whoever it was in this person's life had just gotten up and flown away, like they'd just disappeared. And somebody in the comments of my very first video just said, "Oh my God, that's exactly what's just happened to me. My boyfriend has just up and left, and it's like he just flew away. It's like he got in his car and just drove away and has never been seen again." And she said just what I described was what had happened to her. And although that was very sad for her, bless her heart, very sad, for me, that was such a positive affirmation, really, of what I was doing, and gave me the encouragement to continue. So yeah, it kind of got stuck in my head after that, really. But very sad for her, bless her. But I just love this card. I mean, what a gorgeous chariot, just lovely. So I should put that up there. The next card, and again, it's not a very profound or fascinating card in any way, shape or form. It's the Tarot Cats by Anna Joan. I'm not sure how you pronounce that. I haven't shown this deck as yet. I haven't really even worked with this deck a great deal since I bought it, but I'm fascinated with it. It's such a cute little deck, and this card I just love. I just love the facial expressions of all the cats in this deck. Him in the balloon there above the two cats on the ground. I don't know what expression he's got on his face, but the cats, one of them's got an eye closed. They're kind of not really in the same direction, are they? One's wearing green pendant, one's wearing red. And this card just brings to mind in my head, I think, that old sort of saying of like trying to herd cats. If something is really, really difficult to succeed in or organise or make happen, it's like it's herding cats, isn't it? Because cats are never going to do what you want them to do. So that's my reason for choosing that. This deck has not come out, and I just love the facial expressions on these cats. So there's that one. And then card number 4 is from this deck, which I don't know whether any of you will recognise. This deck hasn't come out so far. It's one of my long-time favourites, actually. I've had this deck for quite a while. I don't use it too often, but I do love it, and it actually does read very well, surprisingly, for one of these kind of theme decks. But this is the Game of Thrones tarot. I'm still slightly too high, too low, aren't I? There we go. It's the Game of Thrones tarot, and this is a scene from Game of Thrones where I think Daenerys was sort of rallying the Dothraki to take them across the sea, I think, to Westeros. And obviously we've got the dragon there. I think I'm right in that. Let me have a little look in this very cute, look at this very cute little book that comes with the deck. Let's just have a look. So it says, rallying the Dothraki Khalasar, Daenerys Targaryen cries, "Will you give me the 7 kingdoms?" The warriors aloft roar their assent to conquer Westeros and sail wooden horses across the narrow sea. The Dothraki and the dragon Drogon represent power that must be masterfully controlled if the mission is to succeed. The horses in the card are black and white. You can't really see a lot of them, to be honest. They're white and dark, which in tarot symbolises the tension between the light and dark aspects of the self and the ever-changing nature of our experiences. And this card's mystical number 7 stands for potential greatness and successful completion of a chapter. So, yeah, like I said, it's this was about Daenerys crossing the sea to conquer Westeros. And I think there was a hard-won battle there to convince the Dothraki, because they're very much land people. They had their horses and they liked being on the land, and so to go across the sea in a ship took a lot of convincing. They needed to be very loyal to Daenerys and have a lot of faith in her to make that decision to cross the sea. So it really fits, I think, actually. I really quite like that as a chariot. I think that's a great card. And the last one I've got here is from a deck you will not have seen me use for a long time, but I did use it last year. I had a month with this deck. It was bought for me by a friend, and I really wasn't sure how I was going to get on with it, because the cards are not really my thing, but I love fairy tales and stories, and I know that this deck has been around a long time. Let me see if I can get it out of this huge box. It comes with this absolutely enormous book here, which is a fantastic book. It tells you a little bit about each of the fairy tales, and then gives you kind of the message of the tarot. And this deck actually is fantastic for inner child work. Now I'm definitely going to have to lift this up now for this, aren't I? I don't think it'll let me change the perspective on the camera while I'm actually recording, which is a shame. Still not high enough, is it? There we go. So yeah, this is the Chariot from this deck, and as you can see, it is an absolutely enormous deck of cards, which is why I thought I wouldn't get on with it. And to be honest, I wouldn't use it for big tarot readings at all. You could only get 3 cards on your table, I think, really. But it is fascinating in its own way. And they've used Peter Pan here for the Chariot, and he's on a boat. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to read from the book, because I'm not really sure what their motivation is for this. And let me put the other cards down here while I'm at it so you can look at them, as I've actually got the room on the table now for you to see them all. I think I have anyway, have I? There we go. There we go. There. So let's have a little look in the book what it says about Peter Pan. I'm going to read you some of it. So a ship is often depicted in mythological or spiritual teachings as a vehicle of the soul, moving consciousness from one shore to the next. In the fairy tale Peter Pan, Wendy and her brothers not only learn to fly, freeing themselves from the physical limitations of time and space, but they also land on an island and encounter a great ship where Captain Hook rules. Captain Hook and his band of pirates symbolise the chaotic elements of the underworld, our untamed fears. Tinkerbell is the elemental spirit within us and the fairy diva. She is a light body and can produce spells for good or evil depending on the calling of the heart. Wendy and her brothers represent humanity. They are tethered to the poles and roots of their incarnation, yet by believing in other worlds, they manifest the ability to soar beyond the boundaries of time. Traditionally, the 7th major trump is known as the Chariot, and this mechanical device is seen as a symbol for the body, which carries the mind and spirit. The charioteer stands for the inner self, and the horses represent the divine willpower that must be harnessed. This card calls for balance between the earth-centered life and the life of spirit. When individuals are in touch with their inner guides, they know not to control the guidance, but to move gracefully according to their environment, open, free to explore, and reveling in the spiral dance of day and night, the balance of light and dark. In the story of Peter Pan, this archetypal pattern is at work. The children are tempted to stay in Never Never Land forever, becoming the eternal children like Peter Pan, and never reaching the maturation state of the human soul. But the children are symbolic of the part of us that must return to the centre, finding our way back home after having experienced all of life's adventures. In a sense, Peter Pan is like the 2 horses of the Chariot, symbolising the elemental will that moves us beyond, pulling us forever forward into our adventures, untamed and unbridled. Ultimately, the quest of our journey is to find our sanctuary. The Chariot, Peter Pan, Tinkerbell and the great ship are all guiding and illuminating facets of our cosmic self. Another idea needs to be remembered here as we encounter obstacles and sudden twists and turns on the roads ahead. We must not panic, a term supposedly engendered by the cry of the great god of wild nature Pan. Because of the comet planetoid Chiron, it was only discovered in 1977. It has not yet achieved a position within the 22-fold system of the major arcana. However, a likely place for it would be here, in alignment with the Chariot and Peter Pan. Chiron begins with the CH of chariot and the CH of child. Peter Pan signifies the child who always stays young at heart. As this book was written, Chiron had been travelling in the sign Cancer for the first time in nearly 50 years. Cancer is the zodiacal sign traditionally associated with this card. Chiron is often associated with the key that opens doorways to higher consciousness, with qualities of the maverick and the wounded healer. The soaring joy of Peter Pan and the flickering light of Tinker Bell are associated with the positive qualities of Chiron, while the darker presence of Captain Hook seems to be aligned with the chirotic wounds of the past that are difficult to heal. It is also interesting in this regard to remember that the captain has a hook in place of a hand, and the Greek root meaning of Cairo is hand. When this card appears in your reading, move steadily in life and uncover your secret resources. Ride the middle path, a road that eventually turns around completely and takes you home. While it makes sense to strive for safety and security on a day-to-day basis, allow yourself the freedom to dream, fantasize, and be adventuresome. Research the deeper meaning of the ageless wisdom, for Peter Pan is the archetype of eternal youth. Once you have contacted the enchantment of Never Never Land within your soul, you will have opened the door to immortal love. Travel home to the root of your wisdom. If you believe you can, you will. Wow. Wasn't that wonderful? Wasn't that amazing? I really enjoyed even reading that. That's made me think I must get this deck out and have another play with it at some point, actually. But there we go. Really quite a difficult card to define, as I said. Although the inner child cards did so beautifully with Peter Pan here. I really liked that as an example. But yeah, I've enjoyed looking through my decks and coming up with decks I haven't shown before, and just, you know, thinking a little bit outside the box for me. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this little video, and I shall see you all again soon. I don't know whether we're going to be looking at justice or strength. I think Mascha's having us all vote, so I vote strength just because that's what I learn and that's kind of what I grew up with. But I have the feeling that justice is going to win. So anyway, until next time, I hope you're all well, and I'll see you all again soon. Thank you.